Can I even tell you how excited I am for today's guest? Because he is a true giant in the sound money and liberty movement. G. Edward Griffin is the author of A World Without Cancer and, of course, The Creature from Jekyll Island, one of the most important and influential books ever written on the Federal Reserve, central banking, inflation, debt, and the hidden structure of our monetary system. But frankly, his work goes far beyond money. For decades, Mr. Griffin has challenged people to look beneath the headlines and ask the deeper question: who benefits? Who pays? What is really driving the system? And what principles must a free people understand if they want to remain free? His research has helped generations connect the dots between money, power, policy, and personal liberty. And I have to say, personally, I am so honored and excited to have been invited to speak at the Red Pill Expo, because that mission, helping people see clearly and think independently and prepare wisely, is exactly the kind of work that this moment requires. So today, at a time when debt is exploding and confidence is fragile, and more people are questioning the future of the dollar, Mr. Griffin's voice is more important than ever. So without further ado, and it is truly my honor to invite Mr. Griffin up here with all of us live today. So I hope you have some questions ready. Jessica, there we go. There we go. That's it. Mr. Griffin, thank you so much. Welcome to our live program.
Well, what a wonderful introduction that is. I hope I can get a recording of that when I'm going to play it for my family and say, there, you see?
I know that feeling. You did send us a video. Would you like us to play that now?
Oh, no, I just thought later on we'll be talking about the Red Pill Expo, hopefully. And I thought afterward, if that's okay with you, okay. It's a little promotion for the event, and I hope everybody will want to come to it. So
I hope so too, because I personally am really looking forward to it. So, okay, well, how about we just jump into a conversation, and then I'll start to take some questions.
Well, that sounds great. So,
okay,
where would you like to go?
Well, in The Creature from Jekyll Island, you help people understand that the monetary system is not just about economics. It's about power. So looking at today's world of central banks, sovereign debt, digital currencies, and surveillance technology, has the creature changed form?
The creature has changed the world, yes. Well, of course, it depends on where you start to look at it. I think something comparable to the creature, maybe the egg form of it, existed long before the Federal Reserve System came into being. The Bank of England actually was the pioneer in putting together all the nuts and bolts to make what we now call central banking a reality. But it's been growing. That creature has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Now we come to a point in history, and you are so well informed on this topic. I love the way you described some very tough issues there, made them very clear. But the biggest issue, in my view, is the fact that the monster or the creature from Jekyll Island, the Federal Reserve System, and all the other central banks of the world seem to be, no more than seem to be, they are in a process of metamorphosis. You might be tempted to say that they are self-destructing, and they are, of course, but it's not because they want to just destroy themselves. What they want to do is reinvent themselves, because the world they have created is now so fragile and so sick because of the toxic components it has injected into it, yes. That's what makes the world sick. And so I think long ago they knew that that couldn't last forever. So they were just going to play ride the horse as far as they could before it dropped dead. But now I think they saw that the event was on the horizon. The system was collapsing. So like the wise men that they are, and I'm sure there are some women involved in that package too, but because they're so wise, they decided not to just let it happen. And they said, now what are we going to do? They decided to make it happen. And so they could come on and say, oh, look what's happening. And the very people who created the problem will be saying, what are we going to do about this now? And we'll say, yeah, what are you going to do about this? And we'll trust the same people that got us into this mess. We'll trust them to get us out. And that's the plan that nobody sees, is that it's all being structured in that way. And so anyway, that's my take on that big topic that you introduced. We are in the process of seeing the Federal Reserve System appearing to destroy itself. But what in reality is happening, I believe, is that it's metamorphing into something even worse than we have seen before.
Well, you brought up the worst part, so let's dive into that. What do you see the potential if we don't do anything? Because you've been fighting this battle forever. You know, what is the worst? And then I have the next question.
Well, the worst thing is that up until now, we've been talking about how to keep our money so it has purchasing power, and how to invest it wisely and not have it destroyed by too much bureaucratic regulation and taxation and all of the stupid economic policies that are introduced. We're always worrying about protecting our money, saving our money, surviving the system, and so forth. And now, all of a sudden, we're being confronted with a new system which won't even have money. There'll be no money to worry about keeping. Now, that depends on how you define the word money, of course. I think the classical definition, or the simple definition, is the one I chose to use in my book, which is money is simply a medium of exchange. It's something you exchange for something else. You don't have any use for it itself, but because it has some built-in value that everybody else wants it, you can use it to exchange for something else. So you don't have to do barter all the time. You can always take this intermediary of exchange and just stick it in your pocket or put it in your mattress or wherever you want to put it until the time comes you want to trade it in for a new car or a piano or something. So, but that day is coming to an end because there will be no money of that kind. There will be a medium of exchange. There'll probably be some kind of a digital token. I don't know exactly what they're going to call it. I don't know that they know exactly what they're going to call it, but it'll have some very virtuous name, and everybody will be told, "Oh, this is wonderful! Look at all these digits you've got in your account." But it's just your account. What is an account? Well, I said, what is it? I don't know. I never had my hand on an account. I've looked at it. I've read numbers and so forth. But in other words, they're going to remove money from circulation completely. It's the cashless society they've been talking about and dreaming about for as long as I can remember. And I've delved into some of the old books. They were dreaming about that way before the Federal Reserve System, the theorists were. So they wanted to take money out of circulation so that you were completely dependent on tokens or ledgers of some kind in an invisible, inaccessible account. It's your account, but you can't touch it. And so the day is very close to that. And the reason that is of great concern, and should be a great concern to everybody, is that if you don't hold it, if you can't hold your money, you don't own it. It just doesn't even exist. Yeah. If you don't hold it, if you can't stick it in your pocket or bury it in your backyard or hand it to somebody here's a poor chap sitting on the sidewalk with a tin cup and you want to drop something in his tin cup. If you don't have anything to drop into it except, my account, well, he doesn't have an account. And besides that, the account will not be yours anyway. It'll belong to the banking system. The central banks will now be metamorphosed into metamorphed into a new system where they actually become the keeper of the exchequer, so to speak. They sit on the treasury, and it doesn't exist. And one of the most important qualities of good money, good sound money, is that it has intrinsic value. Now, a lot of people who are devotees of cryptocurrencies really get upset over that when I say that good money has to have intrinsic value for something other than money, which is what makes it good money. Because if it's just money, but money is no good, well, you don't have any options. So anyway, these are all things that most people don't think about. Mm-hmm. And I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, listen up very tightly, because a crime has been committed, and the people who are warning you about this crime, in most cases, are the people who committed the crime. And it's part of a psychological war, so that you trust the very people that have destroyed your economy. Now they're trying to destroy your freedom and your liberty, your privacy. These are the people that are telling you, you got to do something about this. They're the criminals. They're the crooks. And you better wake up to it. So that's my message.
I totally agree with that. And, in the beginning, how was money sold? That it was supposed to be a store of human labor, so that no matter when you use that money, it still had the same level of purchasing power as the original labor that created it. But, once we went to this crap, which is fiat money, right, away from sound money, now this is by decree. So it's pretty easy to start to steal the value of people's labor. Yes. I wish people would really take out a bill from their wallet and see the word note on there, because that really is the whole story, isn't it? Note is a debt instrument.
It's a note. It means it's a debt instrument.
Right. And, I love the reason they want to get rid of cash, because this is a debt instrument that doesn't pay or charge interest. If we go into cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, what do they say? They say then they can regulate the interest on the next form of fiat money.
Well, they can do more than that. They can regulate the interest, or they can give it to you free. That's part of the game. That's part of the deception. Oh, don't worry about the economy. Look, we're going to give you a guaranteed annual income, and we're going to take care of even your house bill. I know you can't afford housing anymore, but look, we've got a house for you, and you can live there free. And you need food? Well, here are some coupons. And retirement benefits? Okay. How about a little trip around the world? We got that. Sure, just sign up here. And everybody's so happy. They're so the government is so kind to us. Look what they're giving us free. But the free element is a iron ring around your wrist or your leg or your foot. You are now a slave, because you can't even drink a glass of water without some kind of medium of exchange, which is the classic definition of money. But I'm here to tell you, the money that we'll have to live under if we don't stop it is the worst kind of money in the world, because it's a weapon of slavery.
Yes, I absolutely. Well, in your recent work, you keep returning to collectivism versus individualism as the issue behind the issues. So how does that philosophical battle show up inside the monetary system? Maybe especially inflation, central banking, the bailouts, the CBDCs, and the slow transfer of wealth from the individuals to, I'm not so sure it's so slow. Really, from the individual to these institutions. I'm not so sure it's so slow.
Well, that's a good question. It bridges two worlds: the world of real value and material things, and the world of ideas and world concepts. It's what is okay. How do I answer that? Collectivism and individualism are two words that you never heard normally until fairly recently. First time I heard collectivism and individualism was when I read an old book one of the, I mean, at least 100 years old. And I was just a little Boy Scout, just exploring this whole thing. I had no idea what I was probing or what I was discovering. But here's this old book, and they're talking as though everybody knows what collectivism and individualism is. And they were talking about it. And I didn't know what it was just because they were talking about it. I had no idea what it was really until I had a life-changing experience. I think, how much time do we have? I don't want to make this too long.
You can have as much time as you want. Actually, this is our live, so I go 2.5 hours. So rock and roll.
Well, we won't have to do that. I'd probably bore everybody to death in lots sooner time than that.
No, I don't think you'd bore anybody. I mean, this is a privilege.
I have to tell you a little bit of my journey, because
please,
I think that what I went through was very fortunate. And it was unusual circumstances. Otherwise, I would never have been able to do it. I was a young guy in Los Angeles, just got married, had a wife and a child, and another one on the way. And I was climbing the corporate ladder. And I was going, like most young men and women too, I'm sorry to say, but I was very materialistic. How am I doing was my big question. How am I looking? Oh, I should have a better car than this one. Oh, I should have a nice shiny suit. I should have things that cost money because that tells people I'm really important. I was going through all that. And it was fine. I had picked my company. It was a large insurance company. We were writing group insurance policies for corporations, starting at 25 employees, all the way up to hundreds of thousands of employees in big companies. We were insuring them. It was a big business, and I was climbing the corporate ladder because I had carefully chosen that company when I was looking for a job. I realized that it was one of the, in fact, it was the third largest company in the insurance field. It was one of the big ones. And I looked at the top executives in the corporation, and they were all old. Here I am, probably about maybe 25 years old, 26 years old, something like that. And I'm looking at these guys who were, they were 60 years old,
That was old.
By the way, in case anybody's wondering, I'm now 94, and I've long passed that 60 point. But anyway, I had picked it because I figured that sooner than later, these guys were going to be retiring. And naturally, the junior executives down the ladder would be promoted upward. This is an easy step up to, I'm going to be president of this bloody organization someday. I was actually thinking that way. So the point is that I was all about me, and how am I looking, material things. Mm-hmm. And then I had a rude awakening. I don't remember how, but somebody put into my hands a pamphlet, a booklet actually. I think it was about 64 pages. And the title of it, as I remember, was The Truth About the United Nations. The truth about the United Nations. What was that all about? I had studied the United Nations in university, and this guy was a college professor for some small university in the Midwest, and he was saying very negative things about the United Nations. How dare he do that? I knew. I'd gone through the course. I got good grades. I knew that the United Nations was our last best hope for peace. And you couldn't say anything bad about the UN. Anyway, to make a long story short, I, out of curiosity, went to the library one day, and the main library in Los Angeles was only 2 blocks away from our corporate office. So I went to the library and I checked out quite a few books on the United Nations. And to make a long story a little shorter, I became very much convinced that the professor was correct. And I got that impression from books that were written by people who loved the United Nations. Most of them were employees or in the chain of command somewhere where they got money for promoting the United Nations. It was all government, this, the government, all the leaders of the world were going to use the mechanism of government to solve all the problems of the world. And I realized that there was a lot of stuff going on there that was trickery. And I'll make it a little short side trip. The thing that really did it more than anything else was a book written by, I think the author's name was Conor Cruise O'Brien. And as you might guess, he was an Irishman, and he was a military guy, and he was the fellow who was in charge of the United Nations so-called peacekeeping force at that time that had been sent to the Katanga, the province of Katanga in the Congo, because at that time the whole Congo was in upheaval. The Western nations were all pulling out and leaving these countries in the Congo to their own resources. Well, it sounded as though that was a great move of generosity and humanity, but actually it was very destructive because the countries weren't really able to sustain the high degree of technology and so forth that they had had. And if they kick all the colonialists out, there goes all your technology, and everything started to fail. Well, when everything started to fail and people got hungry, the communists moved in and they were going to take over all these countries. And in fact, they were actually conducting a wave of terror, and they were killing people by the thousands, mostly the settlers. And the idea, there was supposed to be the white supremacists, get rid of those bad white people. Had nothing to do, really, when you got underneath it, had nothing to do with race. They had a pretty good, for looking at the world as a whole, the people in the Congo were living very in peace and harmony compared to most parts of the world. And things were improving. Anyway, that's the side story. So anyway, the colonialists were all kicked out, or they left, and people were getting murdered, massacred, property was being stolen. And so the United Nations was called in to restore peace to the Congo because it was in terrible shape. Well, okay, the communists were taking over everywhere, except one province, which was called Katanga. Katanga was headed up by, the president was Moise Tshombe. And Moise Tshombe was educated in Europe. He was quite international and very highly educated, and he read some books on free enterprise, and he knew a little bit about economics, and he knew that big government was usually not a good thing in terms of producing an affluent economy.
Right.
So anyway, the Congo was in a flame. People were being murdered and property stolen, and atrocities, horrible atrocities. So the United Nations peacekeepers came to restore peace and get the economy working again. But there was one province, and that was Katanga, which didn't need it. They hadn't changed at all. In fact, they were continuing life as before. Everybody was having vacations and enjoying life, and productivity was high. So there was no problem in Katanga, but every place else was horrible. So where do you suppose the peacekeepers sent their troops? To Katanga. To Katanga. And they let all the others just continue to destroy and allow the communist revolutionaries, they called them, to come to power. But they had to dethrone Moise Tshombe because he was not going along with communism. Well, we were being told in the newspapers that the peacekeepers were there to get the communists out. And so now we get back to the book written by Conor Cruise O'Brien, and I think it was called To Katanga and Back. Conor Cruise O'Brien was the classic bureaucrat, or the classic agent of a large government. And he spoke frankly. He said, now, The United Nations Charter says that we are not allowed to interfere with the internal affairs of any country. They're only to restore peace. We don't try and influence or alter internal affairs. It's against the Charter of the United Nations. And now, however, we know that that's a lie.
Yes,
He said, we know, and this is his words, we know that you have to lie to the people if you want to get anything done. But they want to hear these good things, so we tell them what they want to hear. Now here's this guy in charge. He's boasting of that fact, saying, "Ha ha ha." Well, that cracked my eggshell. That was the first crack in my eggshell. You mean the United Nations really is a foul group of people? They say one thing and do another, and so
shocking.
All right. Now that's just the backstory. So I decided at this early age of my coming out of the cocoon that I had to learn something more about communism. What makes these young kids coming out of the university, like I had not too long prior to that, want to adopt communism in their own countries when they can see every time communists take over somewhere, there's mass genocide, the economy collapses, everything is horrible. And why would anybody want to keep repeating that same mistake? What's going on? So I went down to the communist bookstore in Los Angeles, down on Larchmont Street. It was called the People's Bookshop. I guess it's still there. They always did a big business down there. And so here I am, the corporate guy, young guy, climbing the ladder, going into the communist bookstore. And in those days, they didn't dress like the corporate guys. I had my shiny suit and the sideburns, the little narrow tie and briefcase and all that stuff. and they were more of the hippie type. And we were very suspicious of each other. But we got along, and I told them I was interested in knowing what this communism is all about. And they said, okay, well, they recommended all the books. And they were showing me this book, that book, and I bought a lot of books. I bought, Karl Marx, of course, you think of him first of all, the Communist Manifesto, and Das Kapital, and then the big collected works of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. I think there were 4 thick volumes of those. I bought those. And what I'm getting at is that I not only bought these books, I read them. And I found out very quickly that the guys there in the bookstore who were trying to get me to read these books had not read them themselves.
That sounds about right.
These guys had not read these books. Because I was reading them and making notes and charting ideas and so forth. And they had no idea what was in those books. But they were very good on slogans, from each according to his deed, to each according to his ability, and so forth. We rise up against the exploiters, and we're against war and racism. Sign me up. These are slogans. Everybody are for these things. But nobody was asking how they were actually trying to implement all these wondrous things. So now I'm cranking toward this story. I became an aficionado, you might say, on what they call Marxism, Leninism. Now, that's a strange combination of words because it seems like you're saying the same thing, but you're not. If you understand what those books say, you understand there's a huge difference between a Marxist and a Marxist-Leninist. And you find those words distinctly used in the communist literature. And you think, what on earth is that all about? Why don't they just pick a word and stick with it? Because it's not the same at all. And here's the difference. The Marxists are, as it suggests, the people have read the works of Karl Marx and they buy into it. Now, Marx was mostly an economist and a theoretician. He was an idea guy. He was sort of the academic in the group. And he was preaching socialism, and he was preaching collectivism, actually, I discovered later, but I'll hold that aside for the moment. Okay. And but he was just mostly talking about the class difference between the working class and management and so forth. And very theoretical. I found out quickly that of all the countries in the world that had been taken over by communists at that time, and there were plenty of them, Russia, China, Cuba, right on our doorstep, countries in South America, and the people in the streets carrying the hammer and sickle flag and everything. You better take it seriously. All of the countries that have been taken over so far by communists, not one of them had ever been taken over by Marxists. They were all taken over by Marxist-Leninists. And the difference is that Lenin was the creator of the Communist Party, and he wasn't engaged, he wasn't interested in engaging in a debate. He had one thing and only one thing in mind, and that is coming to power. Whatever you have to do, whatever you have to say, come to power. And most of his essays are in all those books, all are on the same theme, more or less. And basically, they can be condensed into this kind of a statement. He was saying, comrades, when we go into a country that we want to take over from the inside, we're not going to invade it from the outside. That's silly. You can get hurt doing that, you know. We're going to take it over from the inside. We're going to get people to vote for us. We don't want to fight them. We'll get them to vote for us. You don't stand up and say, look, we're communists and we want to change your society. We want to change your legal system, your heritage, even your language. I mean, no, we don't tell them any of those things. We don't tell them we don't take away their property and all that sort of thing. We tell them that we are anti-communists. We tell them that we love the traditions of their country and their culture and their legal system and their songs and their stories, their traditions. We will be the leaders of our opposition. And once they like us and vote us into power, then we can reveal ourselves. And if they want to debate with us, we can shoot them. This is Leninism. One of his most famous quotes is, promises are like pie crusts, made to be broken. That's Leninism. Now, once you understand the difference between Marxism and Leninism, and see, Lenin built an army.
Right.
He said, look, we just come to power. Once we're in power, it makes no difference. We don't need a debate. We got the guns now.
Right.
And we got the media. We got everything. So we've already won. Once I understood that, I understood what we were up against in general. And now to finish this off, you asked me about collectivism. Mm-hmm. In that process, I was making notes on all the principles that Marx had advanced, and then the new principles that Lenin had advanced and combined into this thing called Marxism, Leninism. And I had a list of them. And I found at least 12 of them that were very dominant. But of the 12, probably 6 or 7 were really the most important ones. And I had this all charted out. So then I got to thinking, well, all right, we don't want to be communists, so what's the opposite of communism? So, unfortunately, I thought I knew that, too, because I had been to university. And they taught me that the opposite of communism, that communism was on the extreme left. What's on the extreme right? Well, that's fascism and Nazism, right? So that was the opposite of communism. Well, I guess if I want to be opposed to communism, I'd better check out the opposite of communism. And for a while, I was actually calling myself a right-winger, because the right wing is supposed to be the opposite of the left wing. And I didn't want to be a leftist, so what were my options? The media and the school system did not give me any options except to be a right-winger. And all that comes with collectivism. Well, still haven't come to that. All of that comes with, with all power in the state and so forth. Anyway, the opposite of so-called the opposite of communism. So I went over. There was no bookstore for Nazis, so I ordered a book from some mail order house, and I got a copy of Mein Kampf, Adolf Hitler's manifesto, and I read it, and blew me down. Everything in his book was identical in principle to what was in Marxism and Marxism-Leninism. There was absolutely no significant difference at all. They were the same monster, and yet they were posing. The two sides apparently somehow worked it out. They said, look, let's pretend like we're opposites, and that we'll give people a choice. You or us. Either way, we win.
Right.
Yeah, pick one. Two wings on the same ugly bird.
Right.
You know? Right
Kind
wing
of
and
like
left wing.
our politics here today, right?
Yeah, exactly. Once you understand it, everything opens up and it's so clear. But I did not see any of that when I started that day to the communist bookstore. So that changed everything. And I got really serious about finding out what was the opposite of communism and the opposite of fascism and Nazism, which were the same thing. That's when I started to read these old books. And most of them were over 100 years old. And now, of course, almost 100 years has passed since I read them myself. And so we can talk about 200-year-old books now. But the old books were loaded with the words collectivism and individualism. And I found out later that there apparently was some kind of a decision made at the highest levels of this hierarchy. We'll maybe talk about what that hierarchy is that covers both of those groups. They're not really opposites, although they fight the hell out of each other. They'll kill each other. And I found out that mostly that's just for appearance, or for the fighting for dominance or territory. I mean, Hitler didn't want to share anything with Stalin. And it was a question of who's going to really be the big one. So, but I found out it was nothing about ideology. They all agreed with each other. And in fact, many people probably know this by now, but the Nazis, the word Nazi is an abbreviation of the German expression of National Socialist Party. So the Nazis are socialists, right in their own name. The communists are socialists. I mean, here we go again. There is no difference, I'm telling you, between the two, and they believe the same things. So anyway, now to bring this to fruition, I started reading these books about collectivism and individualism, and it became obvious that somebody or some group of people decided about the time of World War I to remove those words from common usage, because like somebody just closed the lid. None of the newspapers would use the words anymore. There were no books published where those words were. You can't even find it in the automated indexes now. After about World War I, when we fought the world to save democracy, and there was the key right there, because the word democracy is part of this trap that we're in.
Yes.
We were taught, I was taught, that democracy was the ideal. And most people still think that. Even people on our side of this conflict talk about saving our democracy. What they don't know is that what our founding fathers knew, and that is the democracy was one of the worst forms of government. And our founding fathers said so. Just go read the Federalist Papers. Read the debates they carried on in Philadelphia during the forming of the Constitution. Read their private memoirs. They all said that democracy always self-destructs. It lasts only so far until the majority can figure out that it can plunder the minority, and then you're living under slavery. And so they warned against democracy. Anyway, I think that they took the words collectivism out of circulation and individualism so that they could replace it with democracy. And they succeeded. Most people still think we have to fight wars to protect democracy. Okay, that's another topic in itself. Now I'm going to just bring it finally to what is collectivism and what is individualism, because these are the only two words I believe that are worthy of any discussion as to political ideologies. There are only two of them in the world. And socialism, communism, fascism, Nazism, New Dealism, what are all the words that they come up with? Now, all these words mean the same thing. People even now use the word Americanism. And you say, well, what do you mean by Americanism? And they come up with the same 9 points that Hitler came up with and that Stalin came up with, so forth. The world predominantly is made up of believers of collectivism. And the reason is, you'll recognize it, and you will especially, right away, that the mantra of collectivism, perhaps the one principle that stands out above all others, is this. The group is more important than the individual. And the individual must be sacrificed, if necessary, for the greater good of the greater number. That is sort of the mantra of collectivism. Everybody says, yeah, the greater good of the greater number. What could be wrong with that? Well, everything could be wrong with that.
Right.
If you're really going to take, for example, a lynch mob.
Right.
There's only one dissenting vote, and he's at the end of the rope. And if you like democracy, you got it right there in a lynch mob. It's just a question of how many people you're going to include in the group. You've got to be able to say, well, yeah, the majority should get what it wants, so long as it doesn't take away the rights of an individual. Individuals are supreme, not groups. First of all, groups don't even exist. What? What did Griffin just say? Groups don't even exist. What do you mean they don't exist? Well, can you touch a group? No. It's like a forest. You can see a forest made up of many trees, but you can't touch forest. You can touch trees.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
They're real. But the forest is an abstraction of the mind. It's like the number 7. You can't touch 7. It's an idea. And when you say an idea has rights that are superior to human beings that hold those ideas, you've made a huge mistake, because you brought into a trick. You brought into a system where some demagogue will come along and say, I represent the majority. I represent the people. Our political party represents the people. And we declare that we have to kill all redheads because they're the people that are causing problems. And we won the election, so we can do whatever we want to. All right, now we're in the world of collectivism versus individualism. And that's why I make a big deal out of it. By the way, my wife walked in and handed me this book. Back in the day, after I got wise, my first book was called The Fearful Master, and she just brought a copy of it in. This is my first book that I wrote.
Oh, wow.
And
Can we still get it?
well, we will very shortly. It's been out of print for quite a few years, but people keep buying it, and they're paying huge amounts of money for old copies. I said, wait a minute. Somebody's paying $100 for an old book of mine? Why don't we put it back in print? And so it's almost done now, and hopefully we'll have it ready by Christmas time. And this was 1964 published. Anyway, it's good to know that people like these old books. But anyway, this comes from the era of the time when they were getting rid of the words collectivism versus individualism. And I'll give you one more example of a principle. And there are about 7 of them that are really strong. And so that your viewers can get an idea, at least, of what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I think the second most prominent or revealing principle is the one dealing with the origin of government power, or state power, which is a better word. I don't want a government. I don't want to be governed. I think it's the wrong word. I think government should not I mean, states should not govern us. They should protect us. So let's
Exactly.
call it a protectorate and get rid of this word government. I mean, except it's something we don't want.
Mm.
Instead, we teach the, well, what kind of government do you want? Well, you lost the debate already. You've already said, I want a government. I want to be governed. No, 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 no. No, you lost it right off the bat. So now, where was I going with that? Oh, the second principle, yeah.
Mhm.
The question of what is the source of authority for a state? And most people would agree that it's the people themselves, we the people. And it was never that way before the American Revolution. It was always we the victor in
Right.
battle. It was never we the people. So this was an idea that a time had come, and now we've gotten rid of it already. It took us 200 years or 250 years to get rid of it, but it's gone pretty much.
We can bring it back.
Pardon?
We can bring it back.
Oh, of course we can. We're going to. We
That's-
have to. We
that's
have to.
no, we have to.
There's no option. I mean, unless you want to live in a garbage can or something. Anyway, no, there's no option.
Slavery.
So this back to the principle. Where does the state get its power? Well, it gets it from the people. So then the question arises, well, what is government in the first place, or the state? And I believe the correct answer is it's the legalized use of force, coercion, where people get together and say, well, we don't want coercion or force except for certain conditions. And then we better, because otherwise we have to be on our roof all night long with a rifle to make sure there's nobody breaking into our house. We want police forces. We want somebody to take care of our dams if they break. Or, there are certain things we want to have done that we're willing to sacrifice the right to defend ourselves. We'll give people, a certain small group of people called employees of the state, give them the right to carry guns and to kill us if necessary. So it's a serious business of how you define what the state is and where it gets its power, its just powers. Well, if the just powers come from the people themselves, then the next question is, well, what do the people themselves, what do you and I have a right to kill somebody for?
Right.
Can we kill somebody? Well, yeah, you better believe it. If they're trying to kill us, we have the right to self-defense, to defend ourselves. Nobody would, or very few people would object to that. And okay, so that's one reason to protect our lives. What about our liberty? What if somebody's trying to put us in chains and make us their slave? I'm here to tell you, I would fight to the end to protect my freedom.
Yeah.
All right, there's two. Can you think of anything else that we have a moral right to kill another human being? I can't, and most people can't. There is none. There is none. It's life and liberty. So we come to the amazing and amazingly simple conclusion that the only reason we can have to use lethal force against another human being is in the defense of life or liberty. Period. End of discussion. And so we cannot delegate to our elected representatives any power that we ourselves do not have to delegate. So we cannot say, okay, Mr. Congressman, I want you to pass a law that requires all stores to be closed on Sunday, because we're men and women of God and we think we should close the stores on Sunday. I can't force my neighbor to close his store on Sunday. I can't kill him or fine him or put him in prison if he does. And then how in the heck can I vote for somebody and say, hey, I authorize you to do it?
Right.
It's a very simple and logical principle that no one told me about in college or high school. No one.
I'll bet you there's a lot of those principles and those truths and those underlying truths, especially in our monetary system, that they don't teach in college.
No, no.
Grade school, which is frankly where it should be
Yeah,
taught, in my opinion.
yeah. So there you have it. There you have it. The collectivists believe that the power comes from the state. Comes from the state, doesn't come from the people.
Yeah.
When you look at our Constitution, it says, we the people. When I was young, I just, oh, well, we the people, of course, no big deal. Yeah, it was a big deal. A big deal. The first time in history that anybody said the state derives its power not from the conquering warrior who killed as many people as he could, so he's the chief dog now, or because he says he was empowered by God to represent. Right. Yeah, you have a theocracy. You didn't do it. God gave you the power. Those are anyway, no. So the collectivists believe that the state is the source of power. And you are lucky if they give you a right. And you should thank them for it. But our Constitution in America was just the other way around. The purpose of the state was to protect the innate God-given rights. And now if you don't want to use the word God-given, then try another way of looking at it. How about the difference between hardware and software? You know, when we're born, we've got the hardware, and it's not added to us later by software. We're born with it in it. Right. Our rights are born with us. And so no matter how you look at it, a free society has to depend on that principle as well as several others. Okay, those are two I just mentioned. Each one of those you could talk for hours on all the ramifications of it. Absolutely. And this is what we need to do, is restore this kind of interest and curiosity back into our population so that we understand what liberty means and what it requires. And so we don't fall for the same old tricks over and over and over again. Okay, I've taken way too long to explain all that. So I'm going to throw it back to you, and you tell me something I want to hear. How about?
Well, actually, I'm going to ask you the next question because, in my opinion, 2008 was the end of the current system. And then they were rushing to put the new system, the digital system, in. Mm-hmm. There's also been, you brought it up, a rise in socialism in the U.S., and we can see it in New York with Mondami. We can see it other places in this country. So it's interesting because what they're fighting for is to fix the rent and not the money. Mm-hmm. Our battle is to fix the money. And as crazy as it may sound to some people, and I want your opinion on this one especially. You can talk about 2008, but I want to see redeemable gold back in the system because that's the way people have the power, because they're independent of that permission system, which is what they put in place in hiding us. Do you have a thought on, I don't know whether or not it's going to work. You've been battling this even longer than I have. But you have any comments on that and getting gold back in the system? Not because they say it's a token over here. We see that in Zimbabwe. What did it mean? It meant nothing.
No, just a word. Yeah.
Nothing. But
well, I think it's self-evident, Lynette. It's self-evident that it doesn't have to be gold, but something of intrinsic value. And it just so happens by the process of trial and error over how many centuries, it always winds up in gold and silver. Now, the day may come when that may not be the case. Some guy in his laboratory may figure out how to make gold out of seawater, because I'm told that there's I've been told there's a lot of monatomic gold everywhere, but it's monatomic. Until you get two molecules together, you don't see it. But anyway, some idiot's going to figure out how to do that someday, and then gold will not be the one. It'll be something else. I don't know. But it has to be something that takes human effort to produce, so that it can be equally evaluated against human effort to produce anything else. Otherwise, if it takes no human effort on one side, you know what's going to happen, and that's what we're living under. The system,
Right.
yeah. Oh, can I get one of those?
I'll bring one. I will totally bring a
Oh,
special one.
that's good. That's good. Oh yeah, bring a couple of them.
I will. I will bring you as many as you want. I will be
Okay.
very happy to do that at the Red Pill.
At the Redville, yeah.
Shall we? Why don't we, Jessica? Can we play what Mr. Griffin has sent us so that, and then we'll start taking questions after that. So here we go. Oh, get rid of me. Jessica's still learning, but she's doing a phenomenal job. I'm very proud of her.
Thanks, Lynette.
Well, I can tell everybody I will be there. I even have my little red pill, which is hard to see, but I'll put it in front of you. Okay.
So Lynette, did you hear the audio on that recording?
Yes.
Oh, it didn't come through on my side.
Ah, okay. Could you guys let us know if, because I heard the audio here, but did you guys hear it out there? If you'd let Jessica know, then we might need to replay that again.
Yeah.
And
The sound makes a big difference. There's a lot of information in there.
and she's checking. So while she's doing that, why don't we just go to no?
No, but we will put the link in.
We will put the link in the information below because people have also, I could hear it. It was great.
Okay, that's good. Well, if they could hear it, then it went out.
Right. We'll put the link below and then you guys can do it on your own. And I hope to see you there because it's my favorite thing really is to do the live events where I get to meet all of the viewers and the people that are watching and learning. So
Is there any question about your not being there?
no question whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
You
That's
invited
good.
me. Are you kidding?
Whew.
And you were a tough cookie. You asked me, you want to make sure that everybody there is bringing something of real value to the table. And I respect that so much.
Yeah, it's not just isn't it terrible what's happening in the world? That's not our message. We'll
No.
come back to that maybe. And
Right.
what
But
is our message?
we have to collectively, come to the conclusion and then fight because it's the few that's really controlling the many. And if gold, I mean, this is the way it was sold to us. This is supposed to hold our human labor. Well, in this case, once you go to this level, your human labor can be diluted really easily. This is by decree. This is by nature. And to your earlier point, okay, well, we've got quantum computing and all of this new computing. Maybe somebody will learn how to create gold and silver in the lab. But I think it's pretty darn interesting that they haven't been able to do it yet. And they've been trying for many, many thousands of years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going for the 3% that created the Revolutionary War. It was just a vocal 3%. It wasn't, we don't need 100% of the people to understand it, but we still have to help those that don't understand it when they finally see what's happening.
Yeah. Well, your question a moment ago has another interesting level to it. Should we have a money system backed by gold or something like that?
Hmm.
And
Redeemable.
redeemable, yes. And of course, the answer is yes. But the rest of the question is how? Are we going to pass a law and force people? Can I force my neighbor to accept gold? See, I can't. Therefore, I can't delegate my congressman to pass a law to make gold or silver part of our money system if they don't want to. See, it's hard when you have principles because then you have to live up to them yourself.
That's called ethics. What a concept.
Yeah, what a concept. So
Right?
I had to change my thinking. Well, it was about 15 years ago or more. It suddenly dawned on me, there's nothing wrong with gold or silver backed money as long as it's optional.
Mm-hmm.
It's those bloody laws that say you must do this or you go to prison. That's the problem. Yeah.
Legal tender laws.
Yeah, the legal tender laws are the problem. If you have freedom to choose between gold and silver backed money and money that's not backed by gold or silver, who's going to want that they want the one that's backed by gold or silver? You don't have to force people if you're playing the game fairly. But
Right.
the governments don't play the game fairly. They use it as a means of plundering people, and that's why they have to use the force of law to force us to use worthless paper. If take away the compulsion, and the system would fix itself very quickly, I think.
So I think so too, but I also think, and you actually brought this up in our conversation, the first conversation that we had. I thought it was really interesting because you're forcing me to do something I don't want to do, only because of that stupid ethic thing again, right? But if we want to make a change, then, we have to do it from the bottom up as well as the top down.
Quite true.
I don't really think that most of the representatives, that whether they're local representatives or in Washington, even understand what money is. Even understand that money is supposed to be a store of your labor. So whenever you use it, you are always fairly paid for the labor that originally created it.
Mhm.
So it's education. And what you had said to me, maybe I might have misunderstood you, but what you had said to me was that you have to get involved in that, because if it's just the public and we can get 3% of the public to convert this garbage fiat money
Mhm.
into sound money, well, there's 1% that's ruling the 99%. I'm thinking 3% is more, but I think we also have to do it from the state level. So the individuals start converting their fiat into sound money, and then the states starting to allow people to have that option, right? It's not one or the other. But yeah, legalizing gold and silver as sound money, that now is an option. We have to be careful, though, that the states don't try and take that money over, because that would not be a good thing.
I can guarantee you they will try.
That they are.
They will. That's the nature of governments.
Boy,
They start off like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, and they wind up like criminals. I mean, a couple of generations later. It's because they can. If you don't design the system so that it's very difficult, if not impossible, for politicians. Okay, let me back up. Here's a good topic. One of my aha moments is when I read a letter that was sent to Thomas Jefferson shortly after the Constitution was ratified, and then I read Jefferson's response, and it's part of the Jefferson. They don't call it a museum, but he has a lot of writing stored in one place. So this is a real document, and the doctor friend of Jefferson said, "Well, Mr. Jefferson, now that we have our new Constitution, I think he might have used a different word, probably our republic, but he said, how can we be assured that we now only have good men in office. Okay? The idea, but we've got to have good men in office. We have to trust our leaders, right? And Jefferson's response was like a clear bell. He said, let us speak not of good men in office. Rather, let us bind men down by the chains of the Constitution. Now, if he were alive today and using today's vernacular, he would have said, good men in public office? Are you kidding? Well, let's think about it that way. Who in the right mind would say, how are we going to have nothing but good men in office? We will end up with nothing but bad men in office. In fact, this is true. When you think about it, any institution which has a control over a lot of money or influence over people, like governments, corporations, schools, religions even, any organization or cluster of people that has a lot of money and a lot of influence, and people will do what their leaders want. Those institutions serve as magnets to the predator class. And it doesn't take long before every suede shoe con artist in the world is wanting to be in government.
Yeah.
Because that's where you can really plunder the people and not have to worry about going to jail, because you are the one who decides who goes to jail. But once you understand that principle, it's insane to think, well, you got to trust your leaders. No, you have to distrust your leaders. That's what Jefferson was saying. And some of the founding fathers talked about, be very suspicious of anybody that wants to approach that jewel they call the Constitution. Approach that jewel. Just if somebody's looking at it and getting too close to it, check them out, because they're going to steal it if they can.
Well, they did that in 1913, didn't they? I mean, installing the Federal Reserve.
They got it, yeah.
That's when the Constitution was really destroyed, and then the rights piece by piece, because they took the sound money away from the public.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, these are all lessons that come to the fore when you start studying about collectivism versus individualism. And as a matter of fact, my good wife printed up some booklets that, I'll back up. I'm working on my new book, okay? I've been working on that for a long time, and I'm hoping to have it done very soon. It's going to not be about money and banking solely. It's going to be about principles of government. And I've been working on it for so long, and I'm afraid that I might not finish it. I decided to take the stuff out of my banker box and my computer that I've already written on this topic of collectivism versus individualism, and put that all together as one topic and get that out. So even if the rest of it never gets out, this will. So I put it together, and it's available free. If you want to go, anybody wants to go on the internet and this is what the cover looks like. As
we will put that. If you have a link to that, then we will absolutely put that down there as well.
Yeah. It's a free download, and if I can remember correctly, it's Chasm, CHASM .realityzone.com. So it's chasm.realityzone.com, and you'll see it, and this is what it looks like, and it's a lot of every idea that we've talked about, plus a lot more, including some nice pictures that illustrate some of the principles we're talking about. This one just opened up here. It says there's a picture. I don't know if you can see it, but there are two signs that you often see in parking lots. And there's one on the left says, parking by disabled permit only. Okay. And underneath it says $100 fine. Okay. Now this one says same thing on the top, but on the bottom it says, thank you. instead of fine. Now, on the left side, it says, which of these signs would you prefer to see? If you choose the one on the left, you are a collectivist. If on the right, you are an individualist. So we're trying to dramatize some of these principles in real life.
Mm-hmm. But
The purpose of government to use coercion and fining and so forth. I cannot force my neighbor not to park in that parking spot. Then how can I delegate a congressman or some local politician to do it? It's absolutely a fraud.
yeah, I do think that that's what the redeemable part in the gold is, because otherwise you're absolutely right. How can you force it? But if you have the power to have real money outside of their control, now you have some power. Now you have some power. So,
Now you have the potential to be a free person.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You can be your own person.
So I'm going to
That's
ask.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's it.
Okay, I'm going to ask the first the question from here. And this is from Jacqueline 9155. Mr. Griffin, throughout your lifetime of research, what belief did you once hold with absolute confidence that you later changed your mind about, and what caused that change? Well, that's a pretty good question.
It's a great question, but the answer might be surprising. It's a bad question, because it really should be, what belief have I not been surprised at and had to completely change my view? That's what I'm trying to get at. Almost everything that's important to my life, almost everything. My original concepts turned out upon investigation to be completely based on lies.
Mm-hmm.
The world isn't really that way at all. So just take a look at money. What could be more screwed up than money right now?
Yeah.
What about our Constitution? What about our free country that we live in?
Yeah.
You know, what about the difference between men and women? What about when you go down the list? You know, everything is based on some kind of a gimmick that allows a favored group of people to dominate over the majority. And the trick, of course, is to make the majority like it. Make the majority demand it. You know, oh, we need health care. We need health care. Please give it to us free.
Right.
And so now they control us, because they can force us to take a shot or what we cannot take in the way of health care, because it's not approved by the pharmaceutical industry and so forth. But we say, oh, please do this and please do that. And that's the whole trick of the modern era, is to get the population to not only accept their slavery, but to demand it.
To demand it. That's such
in
a
the name of the greater good of the greater number. We're back to that again.
that kind of drives us to the AI revolution that
Mhm.
we're in, and the transition into the next system. You know, you mentioned earlier who's in power. Well, look at the tech companies with all of their money. I mean, it isn't even really the government, is it? It's really these private corporations.
My favorite word for it for the last couple of years is the oligarchy, because that's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's just a group of people. There's the only thing they have in common is that they're collectivists.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get your head around that, then you realize that the problem is not the Democrats or the Republicans
No.
or the white people or the black people or the Chinese versus the American or the Jews versus the Catholics or they want to divide us on so many things. It's the collectivists versus the individualists. That's what it is. And of course, most people are neither one. They have no idea what they are. If you ask them if you're, a conservative, what's a conservative? Well, I don't know. You ask 10 different people what they are, and they say conservative. Well, they used to say I'm liberal. And if you didn't know which you were, and you were afraid of making a wrong choice, you say, well, I'm a moderate. And then you add another word to the collection. No, you're either not paying attention, or you're an individualist or a collectivist. And it's not easy. I mean, it's not difficult, I should say, to to ponder these principles that are in this booklet, and most people will come immediately to the conclusion. I hear it all the time from college kids. You know, Mr. G, I always thought I was whatever they thought they were, but I think I'm an individualist after all.
You know, it's really kind of interesting and funny that you bring that up, because I happen to be the youngest of 7. And
Oh.
as the youngest of 7, I constantly heard, gee, you remind me of someone. And my normal response was, well, tell me how old you are, and I will tell you who I remind you of. And so I grew up as a strong individualist because I hated that. I truly did. And then
Yes.
what happened? I have twins now, which is also, you know, really not an accident. So I never treated, some people will, you know, dress them alike and treat them as one person. And I've
Mhm.
certainly seen that, but of course I never did that. So I actually would have always, I always considered myself a strong individualist. And I thought it was interesting that I was given twins, and they're fabulous. I love them so much.
Yeah. And they are individualists as well. Yeah.
Oh yes, most definitely they are.
Well,
Very.
just remember, there's no such thing as a group.
What about a community? Because we talk a lot, you know, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. You brought this up before. It's been divide and conquer. And that was really something that started a big push in the 70s.
Mhm.
So to really get people, and now, boy, if you don't think like I think, oh, I just hate your guts and you're just awful. Whereas we used to have conversations and come to a consensus and be able to appreciate a little difference of opinion can be quite entertaining, and you can learn things, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, Wolf 728 asks, interesting conversation with Mr. Griffin. What is the difference between a communist government and a socialist government? I've seen different definitions.
There are many different definitions, but if you go back to the communist literature itself, which is the authoritative source, you'll find out that communism has never existed. What we call communism is socialism. They call it socialism.
Mhm.
And the theory of Karl Marx was that first you have to change society to get rid of all those capitalists, all those individualists out there. You have to murder them if necessary. First, you try and change their point of view, and if that doesn't work, just crank it up a little bit. If that doesn't work, then you just have to shoot them, and you get all the evil out of society and retrain them. You know, then the government, they say, the state will wither away. That's how they phrase it. It will wither away because there will be no need for coercion anymore, because nobody will be selfish. They say this is their literature. This is very so. You know, Russia back in the heyday was called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
Yes, they were.
Socialist, not communist, socialist. I'm telling you, communism, according to themselves, has never existed, and of course never will, because you'll never get that natural characteristic out of the human being that he wants to be his own person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They want you just to be part of a group, a machine, willing to sacrifice yourself for the greater good of the greater number. You know, that's always back to that. And
Right.
once you realize, no, you're not part of the greater number. You're part of yourself. And when you think that all the way through, you come up with the most surprising conclusion, and that is that individualism is the ideology that does produce the highest benefit to the greater number.
It does,
It
actually.
does, because each one individually gains from it when they need it most. When they need it most. Anyway.
And in a real system, there is incentive to create and to figure things out and to make the world a better place. That's not when it's all directed in the direction that they choose for you to go, which is back to feudal times, which is back to slavery.
Oh yeah, they do like the idea of the feudal lord and
Oh, yes.
the serfs and the master. Yeah. Well, that's the way it was for a long, long, long time.
Well,
And
I don't want my grandchildren or my great-grandchildren. I mean, we're not doing it for us because we're old. We're not going to be here that much longer. But it's for the kids, the children, the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, and the generations. We have to make this impact now. I mean, if not me, who? If not now, when? Right?
yeah, yeah, you're so right. I remember when I was in the early days of all of this I've been talking about, I was very impatient with the old timers because they would say, well, Ed, you're getting a little bit anxious. You know, you can't change the whole world just at the next election, you know. I'd say, well, you can't, just watch me. Well,
Yeah.
now I realize that, yeah, this is not an election to election thing, not even close to it. This is generational, and it takes a long time. But I can go to sleep at night with a big smile on my face because even though I know that I'll never see the complete resolution and the rebuilding of what we've lost, and then building beyond that to what we have not yet even imagined can be good. I can vision that in my mind, and I know that I'll never see that. But today I laid one more brick in the foundation, and I can smile as I go to sleep every night thinking about that one more brick. And it's true, it works that way.
I really like that because I was just having this conversation. I had a little family weekend this past weekend, which I love with all my kids and the grandkids. And I was having this conversation with somebody and I said, I don't know if we could actually get redeemable gold back in the system again. But I want my grandchildren to know that I gave it everything that I had to try and make a better world for them, leave them a better world.
Well, you know, what you just said very accurately describes the persona and the motivation of the people that will be coming to the Red Pill Expo. That's the one thing, that quality, that clarity of mind, and that long view of not only history, but humanity, that long view beyond and outside of yourself. That's the common thing that runs through all of these people that are attracted to the call, you might say. And I'm not talking about a religious call, but a human call. I think even though we may not like some people, yeah, there are some people you just don't like. But in general, you love the human race.
Yes.
They're great people. And by far, I think humans have crawled out of the caves and wherever they crawled out of, and have achieved a lot, not only in material things, but in thoughts that we're exploring today, thoughts and ideas and the concept of right and wrong and good and bad. We've been climbing that ladder constantly since the beginning, whatever the beginning was. Now, there's a big debate over who was there before Adam and Eve. I don't know.
I don't know. But I will tell you this, since you brought up Adam and Eve, this is completely off topic, but I was lucky enough to get to go and spend a semester when I was in college in England. And my girlfriend and I went to a lot of museums, and I know how to tell the true Adam and Eve from the imposter. Do you?
No.
I'm going to stump you. The true Adam and Eve would not have a belly button because they were created and not born.
Well, I couldn't argue against that.
No, and from now on, anybody that ever sees a painting of Adam and Eve, check out the belly button. If they have one,
Okay.
Well,
now you got me thinking. Oh my goodness, all of my biblical friends and my scholar friends I'm going to have to call them all and have a meeting on this.
Totally. You will stump them.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Well,
So
we sit around our dining table a lot in our family talking about crazy things like that.
yes.
The imponderables, what they talk about the Big Bang, all right? As
Mhm.
we often have fun saying, yeah, in the beginning there was nothing, and then nothing blew up.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
an
we're supposed to believe that. Okay, let's talk about that.
I love it. Well, at Fake Outraged, he asks, Mr. Griffin, I just want to say thank you for your book. It helps to present a real changing of your mind state. And that's what we all have to do. A lot of my work, and it seems like, and your work too, all we're really trying to do is get people to just look at things a teeny bit different. Because as soon as you do, wow, it's just amazing what you see. I know I could look at the same chart 1,000 times, but depending
Mhm.
upon what I'm looking
Mhm.
for, I see different things. I'm like, my God, how did I miss that?
Mhm.
But I think that's
Well,
important. So,
it certainly is important in terms of the topics we've been discussing.
mm,
Uh, I hesitate to use the word politics because that suggests partisan politics, which is a very despicable area of inquiry. But general political questions are very important. Nothing wrong with them. In fact, our lives are centered around political principles that we either accept or reject. And I think the biggest problem we have in the world today is that we don't understand what Jefferson was talking about when he said, let us bind men down with the chains of the Constitution. He was basically saying that anytime you see a politician or hear a politician saying, vote for me, you can trust me, you know you've got.
oops, we just, oh, I think your mic fell.
Oh, no, I had my hand over it.
Oh,
That's even worse. I think that was probably the.
it's like take a picture with your finger over the,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
lens.
But yeah, we have to build a system of suspicion when it
Mhm.
comes. When you give people a gun and an atomic bomb to boot and say, do good with it and don't bother me with the details, you made a big mistake. You
Yeah.
better say, I want to be bothered by the details of how you're using this. I don't trust you. And if you're smart, you will say you agree. I shouldn't trust you. Now, we had a little organization built around our Red Pill Expo, and one of the principal rules in our organization is don't trust your leaders, including us.
Mhm.
Everybody can be gotten to in some way. I mean, the strongest man in battle on the battlefield will yield to a challenge if it involves possibly having his beloved family killed. And he knows that the people threatening can do it and have done it.
Yeah.
These people, no matter how good they are, will be taken out of the system. They may have to just, I resign. They quit. You cannot build a government of free people based on trust. It
No.
has to be based on distrust. Otherwise, you've made a huge mistake. Nothing dishonorable about that. It's just logic and it's reality.
You bring up trust, but then we're all told, but nobody thinks about it because they hear it so much, that what supports this is the full faith and credit of the government. And I don't care whether you're looking at US dollars or anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
We're supposed to trust the government to what? Have our best interests at heart,
No,
maintain.
you can trust the government to plunder you if they can get away with it.
Yeah.
You can trust the government to lie to you.
Hmm.
You can trust the government to do things which are not in your best interest, to even make you sick so that they can make money on selling you medications.
Hmm.
You can trust the government to do a lot of things. So, Well, nothing wrong with trust. When I see a sign at the side of the road, say, elect Bill Jones, a man you can trust, I go, oh my gosh. Is that his slogan? You can trust me? Is that it? Why doesn't he tell me what he believes in?
Right.
Um,
Because then you probably wouldn't really vote for him.
Years ago, this is going to be funny. I hope it is anyway. Years ago, people say, well, why don't you run for office, Ed? And I said, no, I don't want to run for office. I prefer my privacy. And I don't want, besides, I think I can be more effective creating political candidates than being one. And so that's what I stuck with. But I said, if I ever ran for office, I would probably say something like this. Ladies and gentlemen, do not vote for me. Do not vote for me if you want, and then I start listing all the things that people want their politicians to do. If you want me to take money away from some people and give it to your friends or my friends, don't vote for me because I ain't going to do it. If you want me to, when I go down the list, to do this, I'm not your man. And then my clincher was going to be this. As a matter of fact, don't tell me what you want me to vote for, because I don't care what you want me to vote for. I only care about what I want to vote for based on my principles, not yours. And I'll tell you what my principles are. And if you like them, vote for me. If you don't like them, don't vote for me, because I'm not going to violate my own principles just to please you. And that's what my message would be. I don't know. I would never be elected, but not today, for sure.
Well, in some ways, but we have at Keeping Vigil asking, what was some of the surprising things you learned while doing your research?
Oh, surprising.
Surprising.
Well, every time I had to change my views on some important topic, it was a surprise in a sense. But that's probably not how the question was meant to be. The most surprising discovery would be, oh man, it's hard because they all have that element to them.
Exactly.
When I agreed to help my friend Dr. John Richardson defend himself against the medical establishment, he was saving lives of cancer patients because he was using a substance that was not approved. Well, you can't use an unapproved substance. It doesn't make any difference whether you're saving lives or not. That's not important.
Right.
It's the approval, that's what's important. And that's true. That's how the state runs. They don't care about you. As long as you get approval to do everything you want to do from them, they're happy. So what was the most surprising thing? I mentioned the cancer thing because I knew nothing about cancer. I was the last person in the world to write a book about it, just as I was the last person to write a book about money and banking. My gosh, I'm just a kid from Detroit, and I wanted to go into the movie business and produce, documentary films and theatrical films. Yeah, World Without Cancer you're holding up. That's one of my favorite best-selling books. It's almost as much as the Creature from Jekyll Island.
That one here.
You got that, yeah.
Both of them.
And both of those were a surprise. I mean, you talk about a surprise to learn, for example, on cancer, to learn that cancer is not caused by something. It's caused by the lack of something. And all the medications that are offered to us supposedly to get rid of the thing that causes it were wrong. Many of them were actually the treatments themselves, like radiation and chemotherapy, were causing cancer. That was a surprise to find out that the whole system was, not the whole system, but a big chunk of it was based on what produces the profit.
Profits, right.
Profits, yeah. It's all about treatment.
It's
the treatment.
The drug companies that are connected, I mean, they control all the food. So, I mean, people need to really understand none of this is just happenstance, but they started degrading the food, in the 50s?
Mhm.
And, degrading the food means that you're consuming garbage, and that doesn't support your body, but it
No.
support cancer
Yeah.
and
Yeah. All the toxic things that you eat,
think.
they put into our foods as preservatives or flavors or something like that. They're
Mhm.
toxic. And if there's one thing the body doesn't like is toxicity, especially when your immune system is weakened because you're not eating nutrition foods, even without the toxicity question. If you're not getting those rare minerals and some of the lesser known nutrients, your normal trials of survival are going to overpower your immune system, because it's not that the toxins and the bugs are so powerful. It's that your immune defense system is so weak.
Right.
It's always a balance, like this. But if your defense system goes down, well, then everything wounds, everything. And they say, oh, we got to treat the thing that won. No, treat the thing that lost, which is the immune system.
Right.
Yeah. These are big discoveries to me in each of these fields, that the fundamentals of the reality was totally different and opposite to what I thought they were. So I guess the answer to the question is they're all about equally surprising to me,
Mhm.
and hard to accept.
Yeah. I would say, didn't really ask me, but I'll answer it anyway. I think the biggest surprise, if I had one, because there have been so many, was the fact that we're working for corporate debt. And nobody realizes it, even though it's printed right on the money, Federal Reserve note. And going back to when they created the system and looking at that little thin layer of gold that our government said that they had in reserves, but how they converted corporate debt into our money system. And now we think this is money. This is not money. This is debt. This is garbage. So that was my biggest surprise when I actually went back into those old records and saw private corporate debt converted into Federal Reserve notes that then brilliantly was a gold coin, $20 gold coin, $20 gold certificate, and then $20 Federal Reserve note.
I
Boom.
know, yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
That was my biggest surprise.
Well, yeah, and people wonder why the cost of bread and gasoline is going up so rapidly. It's that the cost is not going up. It's that the value of the dollar is going down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And isn't that a challenge? It's something that I work to. I used to ask, how can I explain this stuff in a way that people understand it? And I think I'm reasonably good at that. I'm working on getting better, but I think I'm reasonably good at that. But then the question became, not only how can I explain this so that they understand it, it's how can I show them so that they really get it right here? Because if you don't get it in your heart, you don't make any changes. You don't see the problem, really. So that's the challenge that I personally have. And that's every time I sit down to create another piece, that's where I go first. How can I explain this in a way that they can really take it to heart? So
That's a tough one.
it's a very tough one, but I will never give up. I can't give a lot of guarantees in this world, but I can guarantee you two key things. Number one, I will show up and do the work. That I will. And number two, at some point, all assets, all instruments go to their true fundamental value. So whether it's the dollar that has a face of 20, look on the FRED, the Federal Reserve Education Department on the purchasing power. They have a big fat goose egg on the bottom because it costs nothing to create this garbage, but it's so easy for them to devalue. Just a little, I got a little carried away. Sorry. And
I
here's
love.
Deja Vu U 0101. Lynette, thank you for hosting G. Edward Griffin. It is my honor to do this. This is awesome. My question is, can the Fed, this is an interesting question, Deja Vu U, but can the Fed remain independent of the government ever?
Oh, of course it could if it wanted to, but it doesn't want to. The question assumes that the government controls the Fed. That's a wrong assumption. It's the other way around. So why would the Fed want to get rid of controlling the government? So the two will be the same. But the question is, where's the control room? And the control room is where the money comes into being. That's really the truth. That's one of those hard truths that people say, oh, come on now, what are you talking about? We vote for the politicians, and we can get rid of them anytime we want to, right? Wrong. Yeah. Well, that's it. Once the first crack in the egg is hardest. The second one is easier, but after you got 4 or 5 cracks on an egg, the rest of it comes apart pretty easily, and you realize that it's just an egg, and it's all. It didn't come from the Easter Bunny.
No, it didn't. And, quite honestly, when you go back and you look at the history of the Fed was not really created. It was created to look like an independent agency, but it was not really ever an independent agency. It is a private corporation whose job is to regulate the rate and speed of inflation. It's not there for your benefit. It is there for
No. It's a cartel. Let's face it. That's what it is. And the cartels have one purpose only, and that's to promote the advantages of the members of the cartel. And if the cartel leadership didn't do that, it would soon be out in its keister, They get new leadership. That's what cartels do. So no surprises here.
Nope. And Art Jogo from Instagram asks, what do you think the founders would say today looking at what happened to their country?
Wow, that's a profound question. I don't know that I could imagine what words they would want to use, but they would be horrified, no end. They would probably place curses upon us if they could.
They warned us.
For destroying everything they worked so hard to create.
Mm-hmm.
How would I feel if I were in their place? It's hard to imagine how I would react. I would be at the end of my soul, I think. Because they risked their lives, and a lot of them gave their lives, and their fellow countrymen. I've been meaning to look up the casualty numbers for the American Revolution, but I recently have been looking at the casualty numbers of individual battles of the American Revolution, and they're huge numbers. I wouldn't be surprised if the total was over 100,000. I'd have to check that out, but I mean, often there were armies at the American Revolution with 30,000 soldiers on both sides. What? I always thought they were little bands of, a couple of hundred here and a couple of hundred there. No, there were armadas that came over from Great Britain on all those ships. And of course, the recruits were coming from all the different states, depending on the ebb and tide of the battle. But I think one of the reasons we won the revolution is because the British were so far away from home, they couldn't get new recruits as readily as we could. Mm-hmm. They were right here. And if the Brits lost 10,000 in a battle, that was serious business for them.
I think we fought a little dirtier than them too, because I think they were so regimented in standing up and doing this and doing that. And we just ping, 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 ping. Not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
think it had something to do with it too.
well, I'm not so sure that's dirty, but I mean, it's war.
War.
War is dirty.
War.
Yeah, love and war. No holds barred.
So Ralph Ramsey is asking, when do you predict the Fed has to raise rates?
I don't have a prediction for that. I can't imagine that they have to do anything. What's the have to? I guess the implication is the economic conditions would put pressure on them. But you know, the Fed doesn't care about economic conditions. They talk a lot about it. Well, we got to do this to keep prices under control and so forth. We worry about you folks out there and prices of everything, but they don't. It's always what's going to be to their benefit. How much money are they going to make or steal from us? So
Actually,
I would say that the Fed will never have to do anything as long as it has the power it does have now.
right, the power of the printing press. But you know what's kind of interesting? And I don't know the answer to it because I haven't really taken time to dig into it. And one of these days I will. You might know this answer. But the Fed makes their money by the difference of the cost of creating money and the face value. So they can make as much money, and they do, as they want to. How is it that for the last 5 years or so, they've lost money? You seen that? I mean, that makes no sense to me.
Well, let me think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
See, a lot of the money. Now, I'm flying with this without too much forethought, so I might
I
make a
caught you.
mistake. But here we go. See, most of that Fed money is not paper.
Nope.
It's magnetic.
Yep.
It's in the computers. And when the money comes into being, it's usually when a loan is made. It's not when it's printed. It remains stacked up with serial numbers that are not issued or put into circulation. So they're just paper in the warehouse. But they go into circulation depending on the quantity of paper money needed in the system. But most of it, I don't know what the ratio is, but I think it used to be 7 to 1 or more was digital money. So now, when they make a loan and it goes on the bank's books as an asset or a liability, and they have double entry, of course.
It is interesting how a lot.
It exists. It exists, but if the borrower defaults, that money goes out of existence. So they could lose money on the accounting side. I'm guessing they might be able to declare a loss in terms of the asset, but not in terms of the liability. So I think there might be some tricks where you could say, well, we lost money, but it would be strictly an accounting statement. It wouldn't cost anybody in the Federal Reserve anything.
No.
But they lost money. Big deal. It wasn't worth anything anyway. They didn't lose anything of value, but it just changed the appearance or the balance of the accounts. That's all. So they can lose money, but they can still live high on the hog without having to miss a pace.
Well, yeah, because they can create as much of this crap as they want to.
Yeah.
And it's a lot even. It's cheaper. It's cheaper. I mean, I think that this costs something like 3 cents, but they're going to charge you $20, 20 for it. And that's the mystery to me is.
Yeah. Well, my point there was that for the digital money, it doesn't cost them anything.
Exactly. How long does it take to push a button?
That's it.
Right. Well, the optimistic beekeeper says, hello, all. What do you think is the most important thing we can do to help people understand sound money versus fiat fraud? Thank you for all your help educating us all.
That's a good question. How do we motivate people to want to learn something in their own self-interest? Wow.
Hmm. Mhm.
I guess the first thing is to, let me turn this off if I may. The first thing is to convince them that this is in their self-interest. I don't think they realize how much it is in their self-interest.
Mhm.
I think they think that the supply of money out there, what difference does it make? I ain't got any of it anyway, you know, it's easy to slough it off.
Mhm.
But the average person, and I put myself in that category in the beginning of this story we're talking about, I didn't know anything or care. I figured it was all being taken care of by somebody much smarter than I. So I
Yep.
think that's the problem. It isn't that they're not interested in learning about something in their own self-interest. It's that they don't know it's in their self-interest, if I'm analyzing this correctly. So this first step then is to educate them that it is in their self-interest and in interest of their children and their grandchildren and the whole human race.
Mhm.
Now, not everybody's going to respond to that call.
Mhm.
Not everybody has that crusader instinct or those, I call them my crusader genes.
Mhm.
But enough of them will have genes that start to rattle and they're going to want to do something about it. And then the next question following that is, all right, now that you've signed up to do something about it, what are you going to do about it?
Mhm.
And that's where the Red Pill Expo comes into place, because that's the big end of the funnel of a process that we'll find, I think, about 3% of the population who really are dedicated and devoted enough and has the time to do it too. We could change the system. We could, if
We
we had
can.
3% of the hard workers, and the 15% will follow them, and that's all you need. But
Mhm.
I think we have those numbers already. It's just that we don't know it. I mean, a lot of people think they're all alone. They
Right.
don't realize how many of us there are. So our job also is not only to let people know it's in their self-interest, how strongly it is, but also to give them an opportunity to get unified and to become part of a coalition, which will actually bring about political change. And then when I say political, I'm not talking partisan again. I'm talking
Right.
about real politics. Get these collectivists out of positions of authority, get them out of government positions, and replace them with I said collectivists a moment ago, I hope, but replace the collectivists with the individualists. And then we can start getting rid of some of these laws. If we don't change the laws, nothing's going to. That's why we can expose people like, all of these some of these top doctors and some of these experts that have been making decisions. Pardon?
Fauci?
Yeah, Fauci. I was having trouble with Fauci's name. I I dislike the name so much I couldn't even think of it. But people like that, we have to get those people out of positions of authority. And that doesn't happen by sending emails to our friends. We've got to form boots on the ground, people who meet together regularly, and every week they agree to do something to change the political awareness and this cultural awareness in their local communities. And so we are in the process of forming campuses of Red Pill University, which is the sponsor of Red Pill Expo. So it's all kind of a can of worms there, but that you get all of that when you go to the Red Pill Expo, and you'll find out how to form a campus of Red Pill University in your local community. And I'm here to tell you, I've been part of some of those movements over the years, and I can say with great deal of conviction, if we can pull together 50 people in a community who know what's going on and who are willing to give it, let's say, 10 hours a week or more, maybe 10, 15 hours a week, and they were organized and had a plan, we could have dominance, I should say, at least, in the county board of supervisors, city hall, mayor, all the local positions. And that is where you start, as you mentioned earlier, from the ground up, not from the top down, from the
Right.
ground up. All movements are built from the ground up if they last. So that's our mission. It can be done, and we're going to do it. We have to do it.
That's what you and I had that conversation, and so here is our contribution, and maybe when I'm maybe we can take a minute to figure out how we can come together on this, because the second Monday of every month at 6 p.m. Eastern time, we have the Sound Money Hour. And as part of Citizens for Sound Money, we have the chief lobbyist, Daniel Diaz, who is coming in and teaching us and helping us learn how to communicate and make the biggest impact in our local government.
Bingo. That's it. That's where you start.
Have homework, which I'm doing it too, because I don't really know how to do it. But I'll bet you there's some way that we can come together and work together on this to create those communities. Because I can tell you, everybody that's watching here, and this is all over the world, they are hungry for those communities. They want to make a difference. And
it's a simple matter to build them. If you have a plan, you have to think it through. Lots of mistakes can be made. But the first thing you have to have is a statement of what you believe in. And that's the hardest part, to get everybody, literally everybody on our team, to agree as to what our principles are. And if anybody's interested in what we have to offer in that department, then I recommend they go to a website called, let's see if that gets you to the point.
We'll put all of the links below. If you just send us whatever you want, and then we'll make sure that everybody has access to
Good. Well, the one you're looking for will be Freedom Force International, freedomforceinternational.org. And then there'll be something in the headliner there that'll say the creed, just the creed. That's what we believe in, the creed of freedom. And there's another one, the code of conduct. And I guarantee you that you find very few people in your audience, especially, that would have any problem with any of those things. They're well thought out, and it gives you something to believe in. It's not just, we're the good guys and they're the bad guys.
Right.
That's where we always get into trouble.
That's it. Them versus us. No, we have to come together. And something else I'll be bringing to the Red Pill. This is our little tool that we developed, and we're working on with very, very short little videos. What you're looking at is our paradigm. I
like it.
So we've got a 1964 and earlier silver dime here, and a 1965 or later dime over here. And not all dimes are created equal, because I realized, I lift weights, and my trainer is an attorney turned gym rat, and we're chatting one day, and somehow silver being actual money came up. He's about 40, in his mid 40s, like my children, but you and I were there when we actually had silver as money. Right? So he was shocked that we actually had silver in our money. And I was shocked, because he was a history major and very well educated, that he didn't know that.
He didn't know we had silver in our money system?
No.
Oh my gosh.
People have no clue. So we are, that's a tool that we've developed, and we are adding to with QR codes and ways for people to start to learn more. So I'll betcha we could put our heads together and make this make everything we do more powerful, more impactful, because it is truly that important.
We're lucky to live in these times in spite of all the problems, because things are in turmoil, and that means we can have a voice in making change. If everything was running cool, we say, don't bother us, I'll go watch Dancing with the Stars or something. But no, people are now concerned. We have a real chance to make a difference. And it's a pleasure to meet you, and I'm sure your followers are just like you. They want to make a difference in the world. So
Exactly.
I hope as many of you can make it as possible to the Red Pill Expo. It's in Las Vegas. It's not in a casino. It's in a, a place that just specializes in conferences. And although if you like to drink wine, I think they serve wine there too. But no gambling. And as far as I know, no smoking. So
Oh, good.
that'll be good.
Oh, good. Well, here is another question, because we could just talk on and on and on, and I need to respect your time because this has been a long day for you. But hopefully, will you please join me and the viewers again for another chat in the future? If you like my work at the Red Pill.
Oh, of course. Of course. Of course. I know I will. So thank you for inviting me to your beautiful program here. And if we didn't bore people to death, sounds to me like they're ready to go to work.
We have the army, I kind of feel like I'm a warrior. That's my job.
You are.
The people that are watching, they're the army. And so we'll continue to develop more and more tools that you can share and give us feedback so we know the direction to go in. Because frankly, I feel like I work for the viewers. That's who I really work for, because they want to make a difference. And I know that together we can, and I got it from you. You said the same thing. Most of the time people go, there's nothing we can do. Well, if you don't do anything, that would be accurate.
Yeah. It's not so bad failing because you tried, but failing because you didn't try is horrible.
Exactly.
I couldn't live with that. Okay, my dears. Well, that was it. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks in Las Vegas.
I am so excited, and I hope to see a lot of you viewers out there. And make sure you come up and tell me that you heard about this on the show. And if you don't have a paradigm card yet, we'll have lots of them there. So we might even bring an extra money gun or two.
I love those money dispensers. Yeah, I'll go to work for the Federal Reserve System, and maybe they'll hire me.
Maybe.
But I need a bigger box than that one, though.
I know. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, we can do. Okay, thank you again. And
thank you so much, everybody. And until next we meet. Oh, nope. Thank you so much, Mr. Griffin. We're going to stay on. But I really appreciate this time with you, and I cannot wait to see you in person.
Well, thank you. If I could just figure out how to turn this off, that'll be the meeting. Exit full screen. That's just my side. And now there's got to be an off somewhere.
Okay. He's fabulous. I mean, and I really am so excited about this. And I've been working very hard on this presentation to bring a lot of value to you, because the time is really now. But rock and roll hoochie coo, Ernest, in regard to the Cantillon effect, how does your advice to become your own central bank with sound money fit and protect the individual? Quite honestly, it is more important once we go into a system that even takes away your ability to hold cash that goes to zero. But it is also the whole part of that surety in food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation. This community piece, honestly, arguably the single most important thing that I ever talk about, because one person can't do everything. And there's only so much of an impact that one person can have. But together, we can do anything. And let me tell you, the fact that G. Edward Griffin sat there and told us that he believes that we can make a difference when he's been working on this for decades and decades and decades, that frankly meant the world to me. It really did. So yeah, build your resilience, but you've got to do it in community. It takes a village. It takes a village. And I know that, well, I'm pretty sure I've told you about this before, so forgive me if I'm being redundant. But a number of years ago, and you can go and watch this yourself. It's probably easy enough to pick up online. And the name of this movie is called Babies. And in this movie, they take women at the very end of their pregnancy and through the first year of the baby's life. And they did a child in San Francisco, one somewhere in Japan, I don't really remember where. It was someplace in Mongolia and someplace in Africa. So they have 4 babies. And it was really interesting. It was such an interesting study. So I encourage you to watch it. But the baby that was the happiest out of all 4 of them was the baby in Africa. That baby, you know, the baby in the US and Japan and even a bit in Mongolia had lots of stuff. The baby in Africa had rocks. And that's all that he had to play with. But he was the happiest. Why? Because the whole village was raising him and all of the other children in that village. So there was that connection. It takes a village. It takes a village to protect the individual. So there you go. And Craig William, 5581, love those glasses. Oh, thank you so much. And Turtles Today asks, is there a situation in which confidence loss lags behind inflation and the public still trusts the money due to indoctrination? Well, we're living through that right now, right? It's already lost. We are below 3 cents officially at the Federal Reserve in terms of purchasing power. Okay, can you do me a favor and pull up the purchasing power chart? And I'm going to make up a birthday because I don't want anybody to get carried away with it. But I'm going to show you and prove what you just said. In the area above that chart where you can put dates, yes, go ahead in there. And let's just say I was born in 1954, so put that in there. And that's good. It does, if it wants a date, yeah, it's going to ask you for, why didn't it pull that? Here, no, not 2006, 1954, and it should pull up. Okay.
In the first of the year.
Okay, that's perfect. All right. Can you make it smaller so they can see the whole screen? There we go. Okay, so when you ask that question, this is how much purchasing power has been lost out of this Federal Reserve note, this debt instrument, since 1954. And yet the public still thinks that it's $1, right? You look at the spot gold and the spot silver and the spot dollar charts, and you see one thing, you see what they want you to see. But the reality is you are losing more purchasing power than this. And look at that 0 on the bottom there on the left-hand axis, a big fat 0. Maybe you can make that bigger. No, it's on the left-hand axis. So can you see that? I know it's kind of small. Can you make that bigger, please? And if you, yeah. Can you see that 0? Anyway, I've shown it to you like a gazillion times, right? That's where we're headed because this has no intrinsic value and it's used in one place. Sound money, physical gold and silver, 36 places, 33 places, global money. So confidence definitely lags. We think that this is money. Read the top of the bill. It's a note. It's a debt instrument. That was my biggest shocker when I actually saw all of that money go into it. That might be something else that we put in our repertoire. That first piece, we'll kind of get together And because we're working hard on figuring out how to make this the most valuable time that you can spend. So yeah, it's indoctrination. Did you realize that pull out that bill? Did you ever think about that before? What are we getting paid in? We're getting paid in debt. Wait a minute. The only thing that I really have of value is my time and what I've managed to accumulate. If I try and save this, what do I know? Well, look at the purchasing power chart. You don't have to put it back up again. It's going down. It's going to zero. So Ralph Ramsey asks, does new Fed Chair Kevin Warsh change any outlook or expectations from the Federal Reserve moving forward? No, there is nothing that can reverse this because the whole system is based on debt. And look at this. And well, you can't see the chart because I've got it up there, but I've shown you the purchasing power chart. There's no reversing this. So it doesn't matter who the president is or who the head of the Federal Reserve is. None of that matters. It's over. And they're already putting the new rails in place for this digital system. That, my friends, is why it is so critically important for us to come together in community and demand redeemable gold back in the system again. We have this window of opportunity. It's the best opportunity that I've ever seen. And you even saw G. Edward Griffin say the same thing, essentially. This is it. We need a new system, not a continuation of the old system, not a system that takes us even further away from sound money into full surveillance and control. That is not what we need. So, Pirate Dude 781 asked, is there a possibility of the dollar being revalued by dropping zeros? Yes, there is a huge possibility, but not yet, because we are not yet in the visible hyperinflationary mode. And just keep in mind, the only difference between inflation and hyperinflation is the speed of that inflation, right? So when we're looking at these purchasing power charts, if they can keep it at 2% a year, they still get all of your wealth. You just don't complain about it. You keep doing the same things that you've been doing until affordability becomes an issue and you simply can't anymore. But once we go into hyperinflation and that pack of gum costs you $1,200, which I know sounds outrageous, but that's only because you put value in this. I don't. I'm way past that. I don't put value in this. But it will happen, I promise you, because it's happening already. I mean, think about it. A loaf of bread, when we were on a sound money system, was 11 cents a loaf. What's a loaf of bread today? Is that bread worth that much more money, or is the dollar worth that much less? Now, if you went into the grocery store today and you paid 11 cents for a loaf of bread and you went back there tomorrow and it's now $6, you're going to really notice that. And boy, are you going to be angry. That's not what they want. They don't want you angry. I want you angry because I want you to understand and hear what they're doing and decide for yourself if that's okay or not. For me, no, this is not okay. Not okay at all. And that's why we have to fight this and get redeemable gold back in the system again. And Wellness Pro Team from Instagram says, I'm a big fan. Thank you so much. I'm a big fan, Miss Lynette. Although this recent drop in silver paper promises are really making many of us uneasy. So the live last week, I think last night, just that first part, of course it's going to make you easy because you have been trained to believe Wall Street. But Wall Street is just a big lie, and they're in it to create a lot of wealth and transfer it their way. You've got to do whatever you're comfortable with, but seriously, the only reason why I pay attention to it is because I know you do, and you need to understand what's happening. Did the dollar, can you put Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. And even if we run a teeny bit late, if we have to today, I mean, it's hard for me to do it because I have something after this, but let's go ahead and put the spot. Let's start with the spot dollar chart. Okay. Yep. Let's start right there.
Okay.
Okay. This is the spot dollar chart. So that is the chart of the US dollar against its trade weighted basket. Look at it's going up. Did things get cheaper for you at the store? No. Okay, you see this? Let's go ahead and put the spot, I don't care, take your pick, spot gold or spot silver. Okay, this is spot silver. Wait a minute. Did those 36 users of silver evaporate? Oh, how about the rush to build data centers? Did that change? Oh, wait a minute. The dollar was so strong. Did it regain any of its purchasing power? Did any of that debt go away? You see? Don't believe the lie. And I'm going to show you the lie in a second. And this is what you really want to watch. Let's look at the other spot gold chart now. Okay, there's your spot gold chart. Looks the same way, right? This is all controlled by paper contracts and that flood of money into the next great IPO thing. Okay. Now, so we're clear, and I know this is the kind of thing that makes your stomach churn and go, did I make a mistake? Oh my God, am I wrong? Did I spend too much? Is it going to get cheaper? All of those kinds of fear and question that you have. Let's go to the physical markets now, please. It's not in here. It's in the other ones that I sent over, the very last tab. There you go. Okay, scroll down. There you go. This is inventory, the physical inventory. There is some entity out there that continues to take possession of the physical. This is true in both gold and silver. So wait a minute. Somebody's not concerned about the price being pushed down. That could be because they're controlling the push down of the price so they can buy it cheaper. This, if you're going to watch something, we have the links. Make sure that the link to this is below in the description. Don't look at the spot market. Look at what's happening in the physical markets, because that is more truthful and much more accurate. Does that help you? You're seeing somebody's taken possession. Now understand, these full contracts are 500 ounces of gold. So at 4,100 times, 4,100 times 500, how much is that? That is over $2 million. Somebody is spending an awful lot of money, that's per contract, to take physical possession. That's the smart money. When you're looking at Wall Street, you're looking at a trading market. They don't give a crap. Goldman Sachs, woohoo! They're going to do something like, I don't know, don't hold me to this. I did a little thing for social media this morning. So when Ashley puts it out, you can see. But the reality is there is a difference between these paper and digital markets, of which they are unlimited, and the physical markets, of which there is a finite amount. Those are two different markets. You want to know what's happening in the physical market? Look at who's taking delivery. Look at who's spending over $2 million per contract. And I hope that helps you. Let me know. If not, really, let me know, because this is what drives me. How can I explain this in not just a way that you understand it, but that is critically important that you do, but that you understand it and can take it in here. And if you have an aha moment on something, why don't you send it to, email it in and put in there. And so we can I don't really actually know who reviews that email for what, hello at, should we do
Operations does.
ops does? Okay, so we'll let ops know that if in the subject you put aha moment, that I want to see them. Okay, so if you ever get an aha moment, let me know what that is, and maybe that's something I can build on. And if you don't get an aha moment or you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know that too, because truly my goal is for you to understand. So Neo the Wise asks, what a pragmatic conversation. I've often contemplated if it's possible to have a civilization without money. As a thought experiment, can you envision a moneyless society? You know what? Why don't we grab that and let's think about that, okay? Maybe we can do a little thought study on that. That could be interesting, because when they created the money to begin with, they needed a tool that would enable a society to specialize, right? And so basically what we're talking about is needing money to store human labor so that you can save for the future and educate your children, retire, whatever it is that you might want to do in the future. This does that. This by design does not do that, does the opposite. This is not by decree. This is by decree. And when it's by decree, winners and losers are chosen. And all links to the events are below. So to all the books and to everything else that we talked about today, yes? You're doing such a good job, aren't you? You are. Poor Jessica. Jessica is my direct, I really hesitate to call her an assistant because, quite frankly, she's so much more than that. And this poor young woman, because she's also so bright, I really wanted her to work with me on a much closer level. That's why I'm forcing her to do this, just because then she can be more, I don't want to say this is going to sound awful, but more valuable in helping my work, which gives me time to even do more. So that's what I'm trying to get to, because unfortunately, I guess what I'm trying to do is kind of clone a little bit of myself, and you're the target because you're smart enough to be the target.
I'm always glad to be here, Lynette.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Brenda Tate Portraits from Instagram. Is silver worth buying? 100 bazillion%. Because the minimum in terms of this garbage that an ounce of silver is worth is somewhere over $1,800 an ounce. So it's $60 an ounce. Bargain, bargain, bargain. And of course we go with, oops, that's copper. With, I don't even care what the form is. Gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. So yes, it is 100 bazillion gadillion% worth not just accumulating, but if you call us, then we can help you understand how much you most likely need to sustain your current standard of living. This goes back to the sound money strategy. Remember, I have studied currencies and currency life cycles since 1987. Do you know anybody else that has? And there's not one itty bitty, we virtually have no purchasing power left in the currency. In my opinion, it died in 2008. And I don't think it was a coincidence that we had the great financial crisis in 2008, and then Bitcoin was born in January of 2009, and quantitative easing was born in March of 2009. They know how to make these transitions. Don't believe them. Don't trust them. Don't believe them. You do whatever you want, but you build a sound money foundation, because I think it's critically important that we all look at what if I'm right and what if I'm wrong, and then do something that it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. What a concept. And okay, so this is the last question. Craig William, 5581. Why didn't they just remove Franklin Delano in 1965? Serious question. Do you mean from the coinage? Well, you know, if you look at the, and if that's not what you're meaning, please let me know, since this is a serious question. But, you know, on any of the coinage, on any of the money, they have, well, I mean, maybe moving into the future, this is going to change, but they have dead presidents. So they also want things to look alike. So can you put up the dime card? And if we can, I don't think that we can just get the junk dimes that all have him on there, but that would be my preference, because it makes it so obvious that they made everything look on the outside exactly the same, but they absolutely changed the substance underneath. And that was robbing you of your work. That's the way I would really like you to start thinking about this. This is supposed to be a store of the labor. I'm going to be 72 years old. I've had a lot of labor in my lifetime. If I tried to save it with this, it's an effort of futility, because it's going to zero and they control it. But saving it in this is exactly what I need to do, because they can't control it, because it's got the broadest base of buyer. And it is the only, this is according to the Bank for International Settlements, and I totally agree, this is the only financial asset that runs zero counterparty risk. And with that, thank you so much for being here today. I mean, I seriously could not be more excited for this event. Could not be more excited. And I hope to see many of you there. And until next we meet, wherever you are in the world, please be safe out there. Bye-bye.